Live on DAZN Worldwide, April 26th, Eubank Jr versus Ben. 30 years of rivalry and hatred.
I do hate him.
All comes down to this. The next generation, a new destroyer. For family, history, legacy. Eubank Jr versus Ben, April 26th. Buy now at DAZN.com/boxing.
This is Charlie Parsons for the Stomping Ground, powered by Wow Hydrate and available on DAZN. I actually think he's sporting a little Loro Piana net. Am I right?
Ah, do you know what? Shout out to Arnie, or Arn, because this is Arn. And you thought it was Laura Piana.
I have to rate it, although I'm not there to see the quality up close and personal.
The quality is fantastic. Arn quality is fantastic, so just letting you know that.
I will have to dabble in on if they want to do what they've done to you and send me some free clothes. My mum will hate me.
Oh, here we go. Lyle and Scott might not be happy.
Lyle and Scott might not be happy. It's not an...
They'll probably also never speak to you again after that photo shoot, so every cloud.
Cheers for that, Ed. How is life with you, sir?
Life is good. Just finished, obviously, a great show in Atlantic City. Major performance from Jerron Ennis. Big event, great crowd. And this Saturday, Dalton Smith in really the last kind of hurdle before that shot at Puello in the world title. Josh Warrington in a very important fight. Josh Padley in his first title fight. Great fight between Ryan Kelly and now Kevin Ajarko as well. Good 50-50 fight. A lot of young prospects on the card. And then next week, old boy, the small matter of Eubank against Ben, which when I saw the 10 days to go this morning, I just thought to myself, oh my God, I can't believe we're nearly there. So buzzing. And then, of course, the small matter of Friday night in Times Square and Saturday night in Riyadh the following week. Week off after that, then the big one at the Copper Bosch.
What are the logistics for the old Times Square and Riyadh week? I believe there is some form of charter at some point. Are you making both? Are you just going?
I mean, I'm not officially invited yet on the charter from New York to Riyadh, but I will be doing everything I can to blag a seat. I
might be doing the same on that one. However, I believe
just to let you know, if you get a seat over me, I will retire from boxing. Actually, I'm not going to say that because His Excellency will probably do that for banter.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And actually, I kind of fancy my chances a little bit on that one, Edward.
Well, you could probably go in like a little dog seat at the back or something.
Put me in like the luggage hold or something.
Yeah.
That would work. Let's talk a little bit about it. Dalton Smith, I caught up with him this morning at a snooker club, of all places, where myself...
Oh, well, of course, the World Championships getting underway at the Crucible. Another Matchroom event, I may add.
And who did they need to promote that? Of course, myself and Sonny Edwards with Ken Doherty this morning. Anyway, I caught up. I caught up with Dalton earlier and I said, is it kind of hard? You had a little bit of criticism off the last fight. Not your fault. It was just the opponent that was put in front of you for the EBU. People kind of saying it this time. You've got green and gold around your waist being flirted with you after this next fight. He said kind of, but, you know, strictly business, go in there and do a job. But it kind of will be a bit of a step up when he gets, whether it be Sandor Martin or anything.
Well, it's Puello. Yeah, I mean, you've got to do your research.
Yeah, you do, actually. That
it's
would
unlikely you do that these days.
Help,
but Puello beat Sandor Martin. It is in next. We're in negotiations already with the PBC to make that fight. So whatever happens, a world title shot will be next for Dalton Smith. What you can't do is just wait around, not stay active. The last fight, look, that was ordered by the EBU. On the night afterwards, you realise that Dalton Smith is levels above a European level fighter. And Jermaine will be a much tougher test. He's a tough guy. He's ranked in the top 15 in the world. And it's a decent fight. But again, I think Dalton Smith, and when you look at British fighters right now, who are world class, who are really true world class, and have the ability and the time to be around for 4, 5, 6 years, Dalton's right up there. I think he's actually the number one chance Britain has right now of someone that can really go in and dominate around 140 pounds. So I'm looking for a statement win for him. And you've got to be professional. You can't just say, oh, well, this guy's not as good as Puello, so I'm not really motivated for him. That's the wrong attitude. And he doesn't have that attitude. He's got a tremendous work ethic. Obviously, his dad's in the corner. And, he messaged me yesterday to say, huge performance coming on Saturday. And that's what I think we'll get, the statement to say he's ready.
Edward, I'm unbelievably baffled by the fact that this whole Whittaker-Cameron 2 thing is still going on. I believe that as of when I'm speaking to you now, which for discretion for the viewers is 3:40 p.m. UK time on a Wednesday, when this comes out, there may have been something kind of imminently. I wouldn't be surprised. But for it to be on fight week, and we'll go into a couple of, sort of things back and forth. But obviously, Lee Eaton coming out last night saying, look, terms were agreed like 2 weeks ago, still no contract. Ben said to Oscar 2 weeks ago, it's a simple mistake. It's an expensive mistake, but it's still not sorted. I mean, you're watching it unfold. What do you think?
I mean, look, obviously, I'm not in the situation, so I'm just giving my opinion, like as a fan or, I nearly said member of the media, like you, but obviously that's ridiculous. So it's kind of like, I mean, it's a horrendous mistake. I mean, someone put a tweet out earlier, which was quite interesting actually, and it was like, you see, it's called Boxer, Boxxer. Did they actually mean to call it that, or did someone just make a mistake, spelling mistake on it? I don't know. Maybe it was just supposed to be Boxer, and someone said put it out with 2 X's. I don't know. I thought it was quite amusing from whoever put that out. What do I think? I think you've got to nip these things in the bud early. But what I would say is, when you don't have the right relationships with people, and I've been there in the past in terms of those volatile relationships, they're going to make you pay, right? And something that I've realised as I've became older, a little bit larger, and so rather a few more grey hairs, is that actually relationships are important with other promoters. Like, you're going to be able to make fights more efficiently with them. But more importantly, when you get an issue like this, like, to put it into context, if I would have made this mistake, which would never happen in a million years, I would be calling George Warren and I would go, George, got a little bit of an issue here, mate. Someone or me or whatever it is, we thought it was going to be 12 rounds. It's actually 10. So I need to adjust that contract. Can you just, do you mind? Like, we just have a word, I apologise, blah, blah, blah. At that point, George would probably go, all right, let me try and sort it for you. But because of the relationship between the two, and Frank Warren's probably the worst person in this situation to have to deal with because of his experience, and he's going to make it an advantage for the fighter, whether it's mind games, whether it's financial, whether it's whatever it is. But you can't let it drag on to a point where it's now Wednesday, the fight's on Sunday. Like, for me, the other issue with this is psychologically, it's such a terrible look for Ben Whittaker, because what they're saying is Whittaker can't do 12 rounds, or he doesn't want the fight to be 12 rounds. You see, what I would be doing if I was Ben Whittaker is I would be coming out and going, mate, 12 rounds, not a problem. You see the shape of me. I mean, that's another thing. And, he posts a picture of himself, but won't do 12 rounds. The other thing I'll say is that 12 rounds is obviously, they think, an advantage to Liam Cameron. So if it is 10 rounds, that's not as much of an advantage. Therefore, you're really handicapping Liam Cameron, and therefore, he probably wants more money. So I don't know. It's quite fascinating, but you can't. I mean, I expect the fight to happen, but it's a real mess. I mean, it was a mess in the first place, but you've got to nip those things in the bud early doors, because the closer it gets to the fight, the more expensive it's going to get, the more of a problem it's going to get, and the more embarrassing it's going to get.
You feel like on fight week, this is something that, well, I don't even have to get your answer to this, but it's something that we shouldn't really be discussing on the week of the fight. Right?
No, I mean, look, the only thing I'll say is a lot of people are talking about it, which is good for the fight, but it's a bit embarrassing, to be honest. I mean, look, fair play to Ben. He came out and he said, we made a mistake, which I don't see any. I mean, you don't know if you can't really say anything else other than that, but at least he's saying it. But when you make a mistake, you've got to deal with it quickly and you've got to deal with it efficiently. And that's not what they're doing. So I don't know the ins and outs. Hopefully they get it sorted and we can have a good fight. But hopefully it's over 12 rounds. Like, a British title fight, a Commonwealth title fight, a European title fight, they're over 12 rounds.
Just very quickly on this topic before we move on. The 50 Cent meme, it's like, why do you say fuck me for? Do you feel like Ben Whittaker's kind of a little bit in that position at the minute, in that, like, he's obviously had the fight, the first fight in Saudi Arabia. He's been subject to public scrutiny, almost a little bit to Johnny Fisher after Dave Allen. And now this, which actually is out of his control, kind of just gives him that little bit more flack, extra flack added on.
Yeah, I mean, it looks terrible on Ben Whittaker. if I'm honest, in so many ways, and it's not his fault. You know, I would say Ben and the trainer and his manager probably said, no, we want 10 rounds. Like, that's at the start. But now everyone's saying, what's wrong with 12? I mean, you know, the normal fan would take 6 minutes. God's sake. You know? And that's why I would have, I mean, they must really not want to do 12, because I can't believe in the last couple of weeks no one's just come out and gone, mate, no problem, 12 it is. You ain't going 12. So, you know, again, things look, I like Ben Whittaker. I think he's a great fighter. I mean, the PR around the first fight was a disaster. And the PR now around this is a complete disaster. So we'll see how it plays out.
Moving on, the small matter of Conor Benn against Chris Eubank Jr. next week. I watched the sort of in-camp documentaries that DAZN have done with Conor. They're really good. He's in a calorie surplus. He's happy. Well, as happy as a Ben will be. They're always a little bit angry. They've got that needle in them. But you fully expect him to do the business. And Ed, what do you think fight week's going to be like? Because we always have these massive fights. They feel massive. And it's not until we're on the ground that we appreciate them for what they really are.
This fight is huge. I mean, next week is going to be massive. You've got the grand arrivals on Tuesday, the workouts on Wednesday, the presser, the weigh-in. And you've got over 60,000 tickets sold. The last few are going now. We've converted them, I think, from coach packages to normal tickets now. When did we ever get a fight of this magnitude? I mean, look, AJ against Dubois was big, but it didn't have this kind of build-up, didn't have this kind of ferocity. You know, and I think one thing that Conor does that's really good is he's so accessible in his training camp. I feel like I've been in camp with him. I mean, I'm watching nearly every session, whether it's on Instagram or Snapchat or TikTok, wherever it is. And you know how hard he's trained. Conor Benn trains like an animal every camp. But this camp is different. This camp, he's turned up the notch. And do I expect him to win? Absolutely. I also know how tough and dangerous this fight is. He's coming up 2 weight classes to fight a much bigger man. But it's a guy that he's much better than. Like, that's the reality. It's a guy that he trains much harder than. I think it's a guy that he wants it much more than. You know, and I know Eubank will be up for this fight because it means a lot to them. But Conor's got to start this fight fast and early. And if he does, I believe he wins this fight by knockout inside 6 rounds.
What did you make of Chris Eubank Jr.'s omelette making clip?
Yeah, look, Eubank's been brilliant in the build-up. He's a character. You know, he's got people telling him what to say. And he'll be on form, I'm sure, next week. But next week, I mean, can you imagine that moment? I mean, the ring walks are going to be epic, right? You've got Still Dre and Ready or Not busting into Comrade Smith Dangerous, right? Can you imagine when they're in the ring? And, you know, Conor's got the eyes and then everybody gets out of the ring. And the ref goes like this. And it's seconds out, round 1. Boom, that noise at the Tottenham Stadium. It will be epic. And you know how Conor fights. He ain't going to come out and start feeling around. And, you know, he's going to come full throttle to knock Eubank out early. And that's what I believe he's going to do.
Edward, off the back of Boots last week in Atlantic City, we'll talk about the performance, the fight week and everything, bringing big-time boxing back to Atlantic City. My mother was very complimentary of you the other day. We were sat having a cheeky coffee in Cirencester, and she sent me one of your pictures on Instagram. And I was like, oh, why have you sent me Eddie's picture? And she went, I've never seen someone so elated with a fighter than Eddie every time he posts after a fight. And I thought, what an observation from Mrs. Parsons. But it is true. And the comment that you put about the 3 fights in 9 months and everything, testament to the journey and what you're doing with these guys over in the States.
Yeah, I think that you have different kind of communication paths, relationships with each fighter. Some you get the opportunity to get closer to. Some there's a manager in the way, so you don't really speak to. Some you know you've been working on something for a long time and it hasn't quite clicked yet, and then it clicks and it's just that elation. You know, and I like to wear my heart on the sleeve. I mean, for Boots, you know, I was so happy because, you know, it was an opportunity where he's had 2 fights. You know, we signed Boots. I made the investment in Boots because I believe he's the best fighter in the sport, or could well be pound for pound number 1. Best fighter in the division, unquestionably. But he has pound for pound number 1 potential. And after the first 2 fights, you know, we had the crowd, we had the occasion, but we didn't quite have the performance. And I know that it's there. And I knew that if the level in front of him if that level was required, we would get it. And I was just so happy for him. I was so happy for the team. I was so happy for the plan that it played out exactly how we wanted. So, and, you know, that post was just to kind of emphasise the job that we've done with Boots and with Everett and with the whole team. Because people talk about, you know, building fighters. Like, no one does it better than us. And we have taken Boots in 9 months from someone that people said couldn't sell. People said wouldn't rate. No one's interested. To a guy that has sold over 35,000 tickets. That's, you know, stuck 15, 16,000 in the Wells Fargo, and then 12, and then 9 and a bit in Atlantic City for the first time in nearly a decade since there's been a major fight there. So we have to recognise now this guy is not only a pound for pound great fighter, he's a star. And we've built that together with him. So the journey's personal to both of us. And, you know, I was really pleased for him. And the future's massive for him. People now, you know, even people who are haters sort of turn around and went, shit, that was good. That was good. And this geezer's a problem. And he's a star. And that's what we do. I know how to build talent. I know how to build stars. And Boots is a guy. It hasn't taken 3 years. It's taken 9 months. That's it. And there's so many more fighters in America that I can do the same to as I've done for Boots. So believe in me and earn with Hearn, baby.
And with Hearn indeed. And I suppose not that Shakur or Boots are very similar to me, but I technically earned with Hearn as well, despite never actually working for you. So secured a contract, everyone. Very quick.
Say they're not that similar to me. I mean,
well, other than my dashing good looks, obviously they're fighting.
Well, I'd like to know what similarities you have with Shakur Stevenson. I mean, you both have a beating heart. I mean, I don't really know where it goes from there.
Both of the bag through Eduardinho Hearn.
No, this is true. This is true, yes.
Very quickly on Shakur Stevenson. Obviously, there was that kind of, he put out the tweet kind of regarding his excellency and being offered a figure lower for the Zepeda fight than what he received for Josh Padley. Where are you at that with now, like right now?
Yeah, I mean, look, obviously there was a figure that had been proposed for the Zepeda fight in Saudi, but this fight is to take place in America with the proposal. So that fight now has been ordered by the WBC. Purse bids will come, but we'll be sitting down with our friends at Golden Boy during Times Square week, and we want to make a deal. You know, I think it's a fantastic fight. I think it's probably one of the best fights in the division. I think it's the right fight for Shakur, and more importantly, it's been ordered by the WBC. So that's the fight that we'll be taking next, and hopefully we can reach a deal with Golden Boy.
Usyk Dubois is looming for a date in July at Wembley Stadium. Just your thoughts? Does it sell out? I assume yes, but I kind of asked that because it's not your Fury and it's not your AJ doing a stadium fight. It's not your Eubank Ben type thing. And obviously with the whole Parker scenario, we spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, but is it right? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, does it sell out? I don't know. I mean, look, it's a great fight. And you know, as much as Dubois, I don't think he's become a household name. He still beat AJ at Wembley, and Usyk is pound for pound #1. So, yeah, I'm sure it does a great gate. It's a great fight. You know, it's a great opportunity for Dubois. I think he's live in the fight to become undisputed champion. So we'll have to see, you know, how it affects Parker. We'll have to see as well. You know, for me, always get the question on AJ, and the answer is I have no idea yet because he's not really back in full-time training. He will be in a couple of weeks. He's been in Nigeria, and then once he is and he's punching properly, we'll look at a date. But we're not really in any tearing rush, if I'm honest. Like, we've got to get the next decision right. Obviously, if Mr. Fury comes out of retirement, that would be lovely, but we have to work on the basis that he won't, and we're going to fight someone. So once he's back and in full-time training, we'll go and see him, sit down, and plot what's next. But he will 1,000,000% fight in 2025 and expect that to be kind of the back end of the summer.
Is Jerel Miller's purse being held partly by the board a bit unfair?
I didn't really see what he did, if I'm honest. Like, I just saw the fracas. Didn't look major.
Me. Yeah.
Sorry?
I kind of felt the same. Oscar, you feel the same way? You were there.
He just got annoyed. Literally.
Yeah.
He got annoyed at something.
Yeah, but I mean, look, the Eubank thing, he struck him with something, and I think he slap Fabio or something.
I didn't see him. He brushed him, innit? Yeah.
We are, you two. Bit strange on the bed, if I'm honest, but we move on.
Edwards.
Well, there's 2 beds behind you, and are you sharing a room there?
Yeah, matrimony paid for one. Cheeky fucker.
I'm not. I can't believe they're even paid for one. But also, can we set a bit close? To be honest with you,
I've actually moved them up already. You should have seen how close Oscar had them. The weird gig.
Right? Yeah. Well, no comment. But I think going back to Jerel Miller, I think from what I saw seems to look a bit harsh.
Very quickly, Ellie Scotney has signed with MVP. We had a conversation a couple of weeks ago about, look, if fighters are given an offer that you will go, right, go and take it. She said, I'm a champion, but no one really knows who I am like they should. Obviously, MVP are doing a lot with female boxing. Credit to them. Yourselves with Katie Taylor were the pioneer of that. Your thoughts?
We had a first last with Ellie Scotney, which means that she can go and get an offer from elsewhere, and then we can match it if we want to match it, and we think that's the right thing to do. We saw the offer; it was a great offer, and we decided not to match it. And I think it's a great opportunity for her. I think I disagree when she says no one knows who she is. I mean, she boxed on some huge shows. I think Ellie she's got a really good personality. I think she's been very reluctant in the past to really put herself out and do too much. I think she's up for doing that now, and I think that will help her. I think we probably took her to the level that we could. I mean, we took her from professional debut to unified champion in, 9 or 10 fights, 8, 9 fights to unified. So, I really enjoyed our time working with her. She's a great fighter, and I think it's a brilliant move for her. There's other fighters that we're talking to MVP about, female fighters, about putting them on some of their cards as well. Still as matchroom fighters, not the same as Ellie's case, but it's great opportunities. And I always said to you, like I say, I want to see the fighters get the best opportunities. And if that's not with us, that's fine. But
is that working relationship with MVP better than it was?
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Is that with Nikisa directly, the team?
Nikisa. Nikisa and Sean Palmer have a good relationship, and I've spoke to Nikisa at various times. Look, I wouldn't say we're best mates, but do you know what? Even when we had our disagreements, we'd always get deals done. So yeah.
Cool.
Right,
Eddie,
gotta go.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate
it.
Live on DAZN Worldwide, April 26th, Eubank Jr versus Ben. 30 years of rivalry and hatred.
I do hate him.
All comes down to this. The next generation, a new destroyer. For family, history, legacy. Eubank Jr versus Ben, April 26th. Buy now at DAZN.com/boxing.